Welcome to Parlay TV.
Plenty of things look easy at first. Skydiving, lion taming, from the comfort of your armchair, all sorts of risks look easy as
Cristiano Ronaldo, Diogo Jota, and Bruno Fernandes literally
blew Russia off the park in a clinical display of attacking football.
Wow.
Sorry, what did you say, Kobe?
Wow, bro.
Let's break it down.
I am Pat Mayo, and I'm here to give you the best pick at the top of the board, the best bet, if you will.
So I'm going to go with just under 25 for Middleton here.
Welcome back, everybody, to 3-Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca, alongside my co-host, Nor. And in today's show, we're going to be making our picks for tonight's games against the spread. So we got 9 games that we're going to get to, plenty to cover. We'll find out, who we got. But it's been so tough to decipher who your pick is nowadays, Nor, with how many players are entering health and safety protocols by the minute.
I think I was just telling you earlier, we should start off each segment by briefing everyone on the injury report for each team. This is who's playing, this is who's out. And I also just think that, no matter what time of day you do it, you have an hour until tip-off. Or even sometimes halftime. Did you see the last game? Someone was in the locker room waiting to get cleared from COVID protocol. So right now it's all over the place. It's just knock on wood type of thing.
Yeah, that is very true. With that being said, we are going to start with our picks with the first game here. We got the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Chicago Bulls. Pretty big number. The Bulls are laying here -8.5, but they've been on a roll lately. Who are you rolling with here, Nor?
Yeah, like you mentioned, pretty big number. My problem with spreads when it comes to teams, especially right now, is teams tend to get sloppy. Even if you start off by winning, even if you lead until to the halftime, by 20-point lead, by the fourth quarter, it can come down to 10 points. It can come down to 7 points. And that's pretty much just banking on how the team, what their stamina is like. Today, I do think Chicago is going to win this pretty easy. Hawks are missing 13 players. They have 13 players in COVID protocol, you guys. And Trae Young, he just got back. So Trae Young has been added back into the lineup. And unfortunately, you can't rely on Trae Young to pick up the slack for 13 players. The Bulls just got Vooch back. They also got DeMar back. And ever since they all cleared the protocols, they've been on a 4-game winning streak. Like I said, I do feel weird taking anyone on this spread because you just never know. I'd much rather be this is going to win. But I'm just going to take the Bulls here because I do think they have the offensive power to take over whatever the Hawks can produce. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bulls, too. I mean, this is a game where, like you mentioned, the Hawks are just decimated with players being out, and they've been one of the more disappointing teams of this young season. This is a team that made that incredible run a season ago, and right now, I mean, they're fighting just to get into a top 8 spot. I do think they'll figure things out once they're back fully healthy and, everybody's there. But as of right now, they're struggling and they're going through the motions, while the Bulls, it doesn't matter what they've been dealing with. They are overcoming everything, whether it's players being out in health and safety protocols, missing guys due to injury like Vucevic. This is a Bulls team that is designed to win in every single way. And I know it's a bit of a big number, but I do trust the Bulls to cover it here because they got one of the hottest players right now in the NBA. Just, book his ticket to the All-Star game already. DeMar DeRozan, Mr. Fourth Quarter. It's incredible to see the type of season he's having. He's arguably having his best season of his career, and that's saying a lot considering how good he was at times with the Raptors. So he's the king of the mid-range, king of the fourth quarter, and while he's healthy on Chicago's team, I'm comfortable laying the points. I think Chicago will rally up the score here, so I do like them in the spot.
He's their new MJ. He's what they needed. And honestly, the Bulls are back, baby. It's crazy to see that. I love to see it. And the better the East gets, the better for all of us as basketball fans, right? Now, on the other side, we've got the Los Angeles Clippers playing against the Boston Celtics. What do you think is going to happen here, Luca?
This is such a tricky game, Nor, because you look at the Clippers, they got Paul George, who's expected to miss 3 to 5 weeks of action, and Reggie Jackson is in health and safety protocol. So you talk about a Clippers team that is missing its firepower. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard is not there, and they're going to be taking on a Celtics team that's not going to be with Tatum, and that's a team that has been struggling too. I mean, I just talked about the Hawks being a big disappointment. This Celtics team has been a huge disappointment. It's got people thinking, are they going to split up, Brown and Tatum? That experiment not working. a couple seasons into it. In this spot, though, I will take the Celtics. I think they will bounce back here. I think the Clippers, I don't see them, putting up a ton of points. They got a lot of key players offensively out, and the Celtics will have Jaylen Brown, and he did go off in their last game. So I do look for, other key role players to step up, guys like, Pritchard and company. So I will take the Celtics here. -5.5. I just think the Clippers are simply too banged up at this point. They got way too many key guys out.
I agree. I think they don't have, like you mentioned, they have no one to help them out offensively. You've got Paul George out. You've also got Reggie Jackson out. Who do you have left? They're relying on a Morris twin for offensive power. Like, it's not the greatest way to go about it. They do have Bledsoe, but I mean, Bledsoe is not the guy who's going to get you a consistent number every single night or pull through wins for you, right? That's why he got traded from the Bucks. I do think, if anything, this is going to be a night where, of course, I think Boston's going to win. There's no one has the power to match what Boston's going to have for the Clippers right now. But I think the bigger convo from this game is probably going to be about Jaylen Brown, or whether or not he's able to lead a team. If he can do this tonight against the Clippers team that's missing pretty much everyone, it's going to be a pretty good look for Boston Celtics and Jaylen Brown. If somehow they're not able to bring this out, I will probably be looking at a lot of trade rumors, a lot of discourses happening everywhere. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But like you mentioned, I do think it's going to be a Boston win for sure. If it's not, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I think if the Celtics don't figure it out, we're going to have a lot of those rumors going into the offseason of maybe them, parting ways with one. Moving on now, we got another interesting game. We got the Hornets taking on the Pacers, and the Hornets, they are the better team, but they are the slight underdog here. Who are you going with in this spot?
Yeah, well, in the past season already, the Hornets have beaten the Pacers, I believe, 2 times, both, right? They're on their third game now. They both have been very close games. I believe both of them, they both only won by 2. But tonight they could be without Miles Bridges, so it does help Pacers out a little bit to keep the ground even. But if the Pacers are going to be missing Malcolm Brogdon, then you're back at square one. Then what's going to happen then? So I do think this is probably going to go Charlotte's way. I see them covering the spread at +3.5, but Pacers do play a little better at home. So this could be closer than it is, which is why I understand why they had the spread so close. But ultimately, I'm going to take the Hornets here. What about you?
Yeah, so I got an interesting stat. The Hornets are actually 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games played on Wednesday, and they're 9-3 against the spread in their last 12 games overall. So I'm a numbers guy, and I'm getting points in this spot. I'll take it all day. I think the Hornets are the much better team. I know the Pacers do play better at home, but we've been talking about disappointing teams this season, which seems to be the theme of the show so far. And yeah, you can add the Pacers to that list. This is a team that wasn't expected to be this bad. They got a lot of talent. They're just not meshing and flowing the way that Pacers fans had hoped. And obviously, you got all the off the court stuff going on whether or not they're gonna, blow this thing up and who's gonna be traded and all that stuff. So I think there's a lot of negative noise right now in Indiana. And you look at the Hornets; they're trending in the right direction. This is a good young team. They really want to take that next step. And LaMelo Ball has been magnificent. I do like the Hornets in this spot, so I will take them +3.5. I think they will easily not only cover but win this game tonight.
Have we been 3 of 3 on the same thing by now? We have,
I
right?
think so. That could either be
Yeah,
really
we're
good or
gonna
really
switch
bad.
it up. Add some fire here. Maybe this will be the one. So sticking to the Eastern Conference theme, this is gonna be New York Knicks versus Detroit Pistons tonight. Um, what do you think?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually gonna back the Knicks, who are coming off of a win. I know it's a big number here at -7.5, but the Pistons, they stink, and they'll likely be without Kate Cunningham and Jeremiah Grant. So those are 2 big players the Pistons are going to be missing. And the Knicks, they're starting to get it going. Maybe, hopefully, the fans think that. And you look at Kemba Walker, what he's been able to do, play the man. I mean, he has been magnificent now that he's getting minutes. So I think the Knicks will make it 2 wins in a row here, and I think they will, blow the Pistons out. I think this is a game that they need to take advantage of, and they have gotten much healthier. Guys like Quickly and Toppin getting back into the mix in the rotation. So this Knicks team, they've been disappointing thus far, but let's see if they can turn it around going into 2022. So I do think they will beat the Pistons here. They just got, I think they're a much better team than the Pistons at this point, especially with those guys being out.
You legit took all my points right out of my mouth. I think there's no reason the Knicks should not win this, especially with RJ Barrett back. They are a lot healthier than they had been before. And plus, like you mentioned, with Kemba Walker now going off against a team that's the Detroit Pistons, who are the worst in the league, even with Cunningham and Grant in the lineup, and but now without them here, it's almost the same thing as the Celtics, where it's embarrassing if the Knicks lose this one. Like, you got to win it, you got to take it.
Yeah, I agree. And that is a huge point. RJ Barrett is back. So Knicks fully healthy, it seems. Pistons, they look destined for the lottery once again. Next game, we got the Grizzlies taking on the Lakers. Nor, are you, believing the hype a little bit that the Lakers can turn this around? They are coming off a win against the Rockets.
No, no. I do. Like, you know what? The interesting part now is because I think this is probably going to be the game of the night. I think Grizzlies and Lakers is going to be a really close game, especially now when we just saw LeBron James start at center for the first time in his career, and they won that game. They broke a 4-game losing streak by putting LeBron James at center and winning that. He ended up getting 30 points something, I think almost a triple double. You still had Russell Westbrook get his triple double too. The biggest discourse for the Lakers right now is the point of Russell Westbrook and how he really fits with the team. Um, and you obviously can't have LeBron James playing center 24/7. You're gonna have AD come back. You're gonna have those bigs come back who need their own positions. But that's why I'm like, maybe right for now it's working. Down the hall, I'm not too sure. But the Grizzlies are also such a good team. They're 21 and 14. They still had John Morant not playing for a big portion of it. And during that, they were still able to keep that momentum going in a conference like the West that, continues to still get better no matter what adversity each team faces. I just want to see what happens tonight if we're still going to get LeBron James in the center position. I honestly don't even know who's going to win. I couldn't tell you, but I'm going to roll with the Grizzlies here because that's who I want. That's what I want. What about you?
Wow, we agree through all these games. I got the Grizzlies too. I mean, I can't trust the Lakers. I know they beat the Rockets, but it's the Rockets. They haven't proven anything lately that suggests that they have turned this thing around. They're still without Anthony Davis. Yeah, Russell Westbrook's coming off that big triple double game, but I still don't think he's a good fit there. And here's the scary part about LeBron's dominance. Like, he's been playing out of his mind like an MVP, but the Lakers are 1-5 in their last 6 games. So that tells me LeBron is, he can be MJ times two, and the Lakers still won't be able to win some of these games unless, Anthony Davis comes back or they do make some moves, which I do think they will be aggressive closer to the trade deadline. This is a team, they still got a ton of issues, and they're going to be running into a team now in the Grizzlies that are playing with so much confidence. They just came off beating the Suns, and they were an underdog in that game. They beat the Suns by one. That was a nail biter. They're winning games with or without John Morant. And you talk about some of the biggest surprise stories in the NBA. You got to add this Grizzlies team to the top of that list. They have been unbelievable. This is a team that they're no flash in the pan. They're here to stay. Good young talent. They're building all kinds of momentum, and they are just simply fun to watch right now. So I got to back the Grizzlies 4.5. I'll lay that comfortably. And yeah, the Lakers got to prove it to me before I can take them in these games.
I agree. Now let's see if we can disagree on this one. Miami Heat versus San Antonio Spurs. What do you think?
Listen, the Heat, they're on a run. I think they've won what now, 4 in a row or something like that. Like, this is a team that they're starting to hit their stride, and Jimmy Butler coming back, that's huge for them. I gotta go with the Heat here. I mean, I'm getting points too, and you look at the Spurs, they have been a hot mess this season, and they're gonna be without their best player, Murray. The Spurs, they have not shown me anything this season that leads me to think that they can be competitive enough to even, be in the play-in down the stretch here. Miami, just a different breed. I know they got guys out, Lowry, Adebayo, and Tucker, but I still think they do win this game with Jimmy Butler back. And yeah, they just been playing really well lately. And talk about, dark horses down the line. I really like this Miami team. I said it from day one. I think this Miami team, if they can be healthy come playoff time, this is a team you got to look out for. So I think this is a game they should be able to take advantage of. It could be a bit of a trap game just because the Spurs are better at home than they are on the road, but I do think Miami gets it done.
I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I did think this morning that Jimmy Butler might not be playing tonight. And
So
if
that would change a
he's
lot.
that changes, and I feel like if he's not changing, perhaps that even cancels the game out. Because does Miami even have enough players to put on the court? Like, is that too last minute to sign someone to 10-day contract? Maybe not, but we'll see how that pans out. But like you mentioned already, Miami has been on fire, even through adversity. They've been missing people from the lineup constantly, especially their starting lineup, and they've still been beating teams left, right, and center without anybody blinking an eye. But like we said, if Jimmy Butler is missing today, this is going to be a little bit of a different game. I might go with the Spurs here. But on the other hand, if they are missing their entire lineup, this might be a game for the rookies of each team. For the San Antonio Spurs, there's Jock Landale, the center, and then for the Miami, it's Omar Yurtseven. And they've both been on fire as centers for both teams while they're both, facing adversities, going through the rough house, whatever they have been. So I think it might be more of a game to see which rookie might come out on top as opposed to any of the players that we know to watch. But because if we're going to be missing Jimmy Butler here, even though Miami has been on a roll and they do play a lot better against opponents when they are facing adversity, I just don't know who they would have to 100% rely on. Like, they do have Harrow, but can Harrow entirely go through and win the whole game for the team? I'm not entirely sure. So I think just for this one, I'm going to go against the popular opinion for the sake of it and go with San Antonio. And we'll see what happens. We'll see who wins.
Yeah, at least we have a disagreement. But I mean, that just tells you how crazy the NBA has been this season. Like, you don't know who's playing until the last minute. So we try to be as accurate as possible. So we'll see what happens with that game. Moving on now, we got the Thunder taking on the Suns. Really big spread here, Nor. Are you riding with the Suns or the Thunder in the spot?
Damn, it's the spread. See, that's what my problem is. I'm just like, I can't tell you. I know who's gonna win, but I can't tell you by how much. I can't tell you what the score would be like because we don't know what's gonna happen like that. This feels wrong to talk about. Thunder are also on a back to back right now too. And this is like the best team meeting the worst team, right? And I don't even think that it would be close. I think OKC have covered 6 of their last 7 as an underdog. I did notice that, so I was like, that could be a factor going in for them. But because this team is also just so shaky, they sometimes come out and they're putting on an offensive powerhouse. Sometimes they're holding other teams are holding them to their franchise record for lowest points. So you can never really tell. But because they have a good pattern when it comes to covering the spread, even though it's for 14.5 spread, I'll take the Thunder to do that. But I do think it's going to be a Suns victory all throughout.
Wow, so you're taking the points. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Suns. I did notice the Thunder have kept these games close. They're 19-7 against the spread in their last 26 games and 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 road games. And the Suns, the last couple of games, they haven't really blown out any teams. It's been close games, and they will be without Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton. So they will be a little undermanned, but they're still taking on the Thunder, who, yeah, like it's the Thunder. They're gonna go through their growing pains. I know Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is gonna be there, so as long as he's there healthy, they always got a chance to keep games close because he can go off at any moment. But Giddy's gonna be out. You know, he entered health and safety protocols. You got Jeremiah Robinson, Earl, and Trey Mann. So the Thunder, they are gonna be missing some pieces, and the Suns have proven that they can still win these games big without having some of their best players out there. So yeah, it's a big spread. But the Suns, they're at home. Thunder on the second night of a back-to-back. That's also a huge factor in this pick for me. So I will lay the points with the Suns. And I typically don't lay this big of a number, but I will here.
I know, I like that. Very brave. That's why I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Now, sticking to the Western Conference theme, we've got the Utah Jazz and the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, so this I am going to be laying the number with the Jazz. And I know the Jazz have failed to cover in their last 6 games, but they're taking on a Blazers team right now that I don't know what's going on with them. I think it's a matter of time until they completely blow that thing up. It's not working. They just lost to the Dallas Mavericks big, and they did not have Luka Doncic, and Damian Lillard played in that game. So there's no hope for the Blazers in my eyes right now. That is a team that is just, they're no man's land. They're not terrible where they can be a bottom feeding team, but they're not nowhere being close to competing. So they're kind of in that middle ground, and it's tough to see because this is a team that's been a staple year in and year out of at least getting to the playoffs and making that first round interesting, or even that playing game interesting. So yeah, I will be taking the Jazz here. I think this is gonna come down to if the Blazers can hit their threes to keep this game close, but I think the Jazz will do a good job of limiting them, and I think the Jazz will also expose the Blazers inside, with Rudy Gobert. So yeah, 6.5. I'll lay it with the Jazz.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the Blazers, it's been kind of almost like they get worse as the years go by, eh? Like you expect them to get even better, to do something bigger than last year, but it's almost as if they regress every single year. And it's kind of just like, well, you've got the same pieces, you've got the same front house, you've got everything else intact. What's really missing? Like what's happening here? And now, they've already had McCollum out. They've also lost Nurkic and Covington to both COVID protocols. And if you're missing bigs against a team like Utah Jazz that've got Rudy Gobert and Whiteside, you're probably gonna get demolished at the boards. Which is why I'm going to take Utah here, because just for size and because Utah is the better team. Utah understands offense. Utah understands defense better than anybody else, which is the main reason why other teams are able to not shoot as much. And right now with the Trailblazers, they don't really have anyone besides Powell or Damian Lillard that I would really pass the ball to either. So in a conference like that, when the Blazers are not doing what they got to be doing against the Utah Jazz, it's going to be easy to go with the Utah Jazz, I think.
All right, we agree there. And then the final game we're gonna get to, we got the Mavericks taking on the Kings. The Mavs are 2.5 point favorites.
Yeah, so they just played last night. They're on a back-to-back today. A lot of these teams are on a back-to-back, and I wonder if that's because of COVID stuff, like
Yeah.
game postponing, right? That's probably must be it. So it's gonna be interesting. It's interesting to see how they bounce back from last night. This is a pretty healthy Sacramento team. They're pretty much intact. It's just a matter of how good of a team it really is. They've been pretty much staying to what we expect of them, right? Hasn't been bad, hasn't been great. And the Mavericks should be hopefully getting some players back. If they're able to get some people back for this game, it should be a pretty easy cover for Dallas. But and Sacramento has only covered like 3 of their last 10. They are
Gotcha.
not the best at when it comes to covering the spread or even like winning games properly, right? So I think I'm gonna go with the Dallas Mavericks here, but I think it'll be a pretty decent game if Doncic is not playing. What about you?
Yeah, I don't think Doncic will be playing in this one, but even if he, doesn't, I'm comfortable taking the Mavs. They're 4-4 without him, and I really have liked what I've seen from Porzingis and even Brunson in the absence of Luka Doncic. Like these are two guys who have really elevated their game, and yeah, the Mavericks look to be still competitive without their best player. While the Sacramento Kings, you don't know what you're going to get, and this has been a team that hasn't been covering spreads, and they're not really good. So I will take Dallas. I think they will get it done. I know they're on the road tonight, but and playing on the second night of a back-to-back, but I think they will, cover the number here. So yeah, I agree. Give me the Mavericks -2.5, and I think we only disagreed on one game through the 9 games tonight. I don't know if
I
that's
was
good
gonna
or
say like
bad. We'll see.
max two, but great minds. That's what they say. Great minds think alike.
Well, we'll see what happens, but let us know what your picks are for tonight's games, and we'll track to see who wins this head-to-head between Nor and I. This is 3 point lines here on the parlay, coming to you every single week. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you all again next week here on the parlay.